Now I want to ask you, because we have both vended at Collecticons. We've both been to multiple Collecticons. And it seems like the sentiment, at least from our group, is changing on the vending experience of Collecticon and whether or not it's worth it going forward. And they just announced recently that there's going to be 18 Collecticons next year. I mean, it's basically impossible to go to every one now. There's so many. So I guess the question here is, from your perspective, and from mine, as a business and from a personal point of view, are Collecticons worth vending anymore?
Vendors at Collecticons are optimized now. I feel like we have hit an area of optimization, especially right now too, with this boom happening. People are holding on to their stuff a little harder. From the buyer side, I think it's kind of crummy. I think from the seller side though too, like I like walking the shows. I like the freedom of walking the shows. I like the freedom of going to the shows, not having to be behind the table trying to sell all day long and being lowballed by people and all that stuff, and turning buyouts down. As much as I love vending and I love the interactions with people, the big shows, I think you lose a lot of that personal one-to-one too. I don't know, like I personally don't want to vend another Collecticon.
Would you vend the Jersey shows since you're local, or
I didn't.
no?
I didn't vend the Jersey show this year. To be honest, like I would rather vend the local card show in Woodbridge. It's a smaller show, but the amount of people coming through, same amount of eyes getting on your stuff. Obviously, you're not spending as much money to go to a local card show as you are going flying somewhere and doing all of that. Like you got to take all that into account too. I personally don't want to vend Collecticons anymore. They are like fun trips for me to go hang out with you and hang out with like Ponga and hang out with Chef and hang out with Nick and Dan and Grimer and Benji and Sterling and everyone. eBay is so easy. You're selling at a show, you're selling it for 85% anyway.
Yeah, I think that's something that people might not realize, is that by the time you get yourself to a Collecticon, unless it's a local one, you're buying a flight, you're buying a hotel room, or you're sharing an Airbnb. Either way, you're spending money. You have to bake that into your sales and to the percentage. And then when you're actually selling there, a lot of people like to come up and take like 10% off or stuff like that. So you're sacrificing 10% there, or you're selling a buyout to a streamer at 75%, 70%, and you could do all this at home on eBay without lifting a finger or going anywhere.
I spent $800 going to Chicago. And that was just there to have fun. But like I had a good time when I was there. I wasn't going to not have a good time. Like going to these things, I like to enjoy myself for the amount of time I'm there. So like I spend a little bit more than I should business wise. If you have a lot of inventory and you're making good comps on everything and everything's working out, but I feel like everyone's coming to you and they're hitting you with 85% or less. Like when I go, it's 75% or less. Like I'm trying to get 75%. Like that's what I want to buy at, 75%. So you just need to think that everyone else is kind of walking around feeling the same thing. And I'm sure that vendors get tired of hearing it. I don't know if vending's worth it. Big shows like that, I think Collecticon is just not the place maybe anymore.
If you guys are enjoying this video so far, make sure you go and check out Beerski Collects over on YouTube. He also runs an awesome podcast with another friend of the channel, Ponga. Definitely subscribe to that channel as well. I will put all of his social links in the description below. Check him out. He's a wonderful human being and definitely deserves your support. I hear what you're saying with the local shows too, because the local shows, most people are not haggling you at local shows usually, and they're local. You don't have the travel costs. You don't have any of that. So taking $5 off a $75 card is not that big a deal. But if you can find shows that have, that have a good turnout and everything locally, I think that's a way better bet than flying to try and do these shows. And when you're a smaller seller like us, where we just have like maybe one table or two tables and we're trying to sell our personal inventories, the majority of my sales at any Collecticon is selling at a lower percentage than eBay to another vendor. It's not even usually people coming up that want to buy it for their collection. It's people wanting to buy you out so they can sell it to somebody else on a different platform or something like that. So it feels a lot less personal. You're not having a fun back and forth with someone who is really excited to buy. It's just a business transaction. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, because you get to move a lot of stuff at once. But at the same time, it's like it takes the fun out of it a little bit.
The best interactions I've ever had vending have been at local card shows. I just feel like everything about it, from the little kids, like dude, little kids at Collecticon are hustlers, bro. Like they come up, they know what's up, hats backwards, hair's flared out, shit's going down. Local card shows, nice, parents are behind them. It's such a nice different thing.
It's a different vibe. One other thing that I felt in the last show was massive FOMO. I'm sitting behind a table and half the homies are walking around, they're going to lunch together, they're doing all this stuff, while the other half of the homies are sitting behind tables and slinging cards. And it's like, man, is it worth sitting behind a table all day when a bunch of other people are getting to, actually have that like quality time that you're actually there for? And it's like, I don't really know that it is. And I feel like other people have optimized just like the vendors have optimized. Like Dan isn't going to vend anymore, but he brings stuff to sell at other people's tables so he can walk around, he can do whatever he wants. And at the end of the show, I'm sure he just picks up cash from Ponga or whoever's going to be selling on his behalf, and he gives them 10-15% or whatever, and he gets to make a little bit of money, and he gets to spend all that time with people. So that seems like the way to go. But I think going forward, I'll probably still vend Charlotte because it's local, and if I have a bunch of stuff, and probably will still do that one, but I don't think I'll probably vend any other show this year. What would actually be a really cool stream, I feel like, would be if you had a homie with a table and you used part of that table to do like an eBay live or a whatnot stream, so that you're streaming literally in the middle of the venue. What? And like vending is happening around you.
What?
That'd be cool, right?
What? Man, that's awesome.
Or you set up a table in the middle of like a section.
100% gonna do that now. Yeah. That would be so cool. Dude, the amount of people that you would get just coming around being like, what the fuck are you, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, well, I'm streaming on Whatnot or Fanatics or eBay right now. Like, what's up? Like, that would be awesome.
Here's my card. Let me put my cards out,
Could you
in front
imagine
of my
someone
camera.
taking trades or selling stuff and you can just got this in, boom, new inventory. That would be wild, actually. You're onto something, my friend. They're definitely onto something. I've been back and forth, like eBay, vending. Like I've said on lives, like I love vending. Vending's the new way I'm doing it. And then literally 2 months later, I'm streaming on Whatnot. So it's just like how the hobby moves so quick. It's hard to say stuff in like definites.
It does suck because, like you said, like I find vending to be fun too. I know that there are friends that we have that do not like it at all. I actually have fun with it because I like having the interaction back and forth. But like you said too, it's way more fun at local shows than it is at Collecticons.
Way more fun.
It's just a better vibe. All right, well, we will be going to Collecticons, but maybe not vending all that much this year.
I'll be at least 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 collect. Probably a 5th with Worlds sprinkled in there.
I might do both card parties, and then I'm doing Charlotte, probably one Chicago, because I think Ponga's. We got a bunch of local people to Illinois.
Yeah, Chicago's
probably
a must.
New Jersey, because you're gonna be throwing something like you did last year, and
big ass party. Yeah. It's gonna be even better this year. Beerski A Palooza 2 Electric Boogaloo in the house. Let's go.